All right, we're going to get into whether or not Chris Sims agrees with me that the Bucs are going back-to-back and who Chris Sims has winning it all. But we got some breaking news about a contender suffering more L's in practice, a perennial contender suffering more L's in practice. All right, so not sure if you've heard Chris Sims, but the Ravens cut their practice short today after Marcus Peters and Gus Edwards sustained potentially significant knee injuries on back-to-back plays.
What?
Tests were done on both players. So then, the latest is the Ravens fear that Peters suffered a torn ACL in this practice. So, I kid you not, Chris, coming into the show, I plan to ask you what, if anything, Le'Veon Bell has left. The Ravens look like they're going to have to find out very soon what Le'Veon Bell has left. What's your reaction to the Ravens, who've already been decimated by injuries, specifically at the running back position, sustaining two potentially more devastating injuries?
Well, it's killer. I mean, that's the only way I can really explain it. I mean, this is a team in Baltimore Ravens we know is revolved around the run game. So you have the injuries already to J.K. Dobbins. That's concerning. Gus Edwards is very good. He is like a capable starting tailback. I mean, I was excited for him to get his opportunity and kind of show everybody what he has. You know, Le'Veon Bell, that concerns me. Yeah, it hasn't looked good in a few years. Plus, you guys know he's kind of one of those dance, and then try to find a spot and run that way. That's not really Baltimore style. We've seen they kind of like, hey, we got a hole, get through it at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram when he was there. So that's a huge blow to their football team, and they better call. And does any else breaking news happen? Does Latavius Murray get signed? Because they need to call Latavius Murray right now. That's the first thing I want to say about that. Then the next thing is the second most important position on their team, guys, or maybe other than Lamar Jackson, is corners. They haven't had a pass rush in a few years. They play a ton of man-to-man with Marlon Humphreys and Marcus Peters. It's one of the reasons they can't beat the Chiefs, because they have to blitz to get to Mahomes, and they have to leave their guys on islands too much. So that is really another big one for them altogether. That makes me think differently about the Ravens.
Well, and I know you had them, we'll get to your playoff bracket that you put out. You had them as the third wild card, the 7th seed in the AFC before this news broke. Didn't they just trade Sean Wade to the Patriots? So, I mean, that looks worse in hindsight for cornerback depth. They got Tyson Williams as the next man up at running back. Michael, I go back to something. I think it was something Belichick used to always say about Baltimore, and I'd love to get your take on it, Michael. He used to always say about the Ravens, they're there at the end. They're always there at the end. And I guess I hesitate to write off an organization like Baltimore, which has done such a good job when it comes to personnel evaluation. And ironically, last thing I'll say, Michael, the talk coming into this year is, can the passing game take it to another level with these new receivers who've mostly been hurt with Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson might have to run for another 1,000 yards this year, Michael Holland.
Yeah, you know what, fellas, I think that's the reason, to address your point, Michael Smith, I think the reason Belichick say all those things about Baltimore, because he realizes at times it's like looking in the mirror. He has so much respect for the way they do their business, and really smart when it comes to the front office. Eric DeCosta, their general manager right now, one of the best in the game. And before DeCosta, there was Ozzie Newsome. I mean, think about that path, that baton. Newsome to DeCosta, that's incredible. A lot of organizations can't say that. But Chris Sims, I want to ask you this, because I know a lot of Ravens fans might be looking at this saying, wow, this happened in practice and not the games. I know a lot of us just who have never participated in NFL practices, and more media access is limited to practices, don't really understand what happens there. Can you just give us a sense of what practices are? They're not glorified walkthroughs.
No.
A practice really is physical, right?
Well, yeah, to speak to what you guys are talking about, especially in Baltimore, that's why Belichick respects them. You know, they're about physicality, not messing the game up themselves, week-to-week game planning, game-specific, not like, hey, this is what we do. Like, no, they always have new wrinkles. They know how to build a team, to what you both said. And, yeah, they're one of those teams that practices maybe a little bit more physically than other teams out there in football. But this just sounds like it's unfortunate. I don't know know if it was a scrum of players or what, or did Marcus Peters just make a cut and then his knee gave out. So this could be just sheerly bad luck. But yes, I can say from experience of working in New England, seeing them, Baltimore, just what I've heard through the grapevine. I've seen the Steelers practice. A lot of those teams that you see, Andy Reid, even though it's about throwing the football, it's old school. Sean Payton, yes, old school physicality. They believe in practicing their guys hard. That's going to translate to, hey, the game's going to be easier on Sunday. And that's what a lot of the teams and the organizations we see that are constantly there towards the top, the Seattle Seahawks, the same way, that's what they believe in. So, this is just this is bad luck. It really is, and I really feel for them. If there is a team that can overcome it, it is them because of what the culture they have in place. I'm not giving up on them, but, I don't know if they can win the Super Bowl now. That would be the thing I'd probably say.
Yeah, and so, again, for me and Rappaport, concern for both players, Peters and Edwards, is a torn ACL. Both will have tests to confirm. So going back to your prediction. So, Chris, injuries would be the only thing that gives me pause about being so bullish on the Bucs. I got the Bucs going back-to-back for all the reasons you already know. I don't need to recite them again.
Right.
You're close. And as a matter of fact, I'll take it a step farther. I have the Bucs beating the Chiefs again. I think in Tampa and Kansas City, we're seeing the makings of the NFL's version of Cavs Warriors in the NBA a couple of years ago, where we're just going to keep seeing that movie over and over again, and we'll see how it plays out in the Super Bowl. But you're close. You got both the Chiefs and the Bucs making it to the conference title game, but you got Cleveland beating the Rams to win it all. That's some throwback NFL history for you right there.
I know.
Browns over Rams. Yeah, I love to. First of all, Cleveland is probably loving you right now, but that's a provocative pick. Why do you believe that the Browns are going to take that next step? Because a lot of people think there's a gap between the Chiefs and the Bills and the rest of the AFC, Cleveland included.
Oh, yeah, I don't see it that way. I don't. Hey, listen, the Browns almost beat Kansas City in the divisional round last year, and I know Mahomes got hurt, but even up to that point, they were moving the ball. They had the ball where they fumbled the ball, the 1-inch line into the end zone, right? Cleveland's made for playoff football. It's one of the best offensive lines in the game. Of course, we know the two-headed monster they got at the running back position. Baker Mayfield, to me, is made for the playoffs, too. He's fearless. He's got weapons. He's not afraid to pull the trigger and make aggressive throws like a Mahomes or a Josh Allen. And then I just think they added the right pieces, especially for what their defensive scheme is this year. So, hey, I just feel like it's their time a little bit. I just couldn't quite pull the trigger. Listen, I hear you. The Bucs and the Chiefs, I wanted to write it in there, but just I guess my years of being around the NFL, when you start to go chalk, it never seems to go chalk.
Yeah.
And that was like my two little curveballs as I went through the playoffs. Rams, just to hit on that real quick, yes, I'm excited about their talent and their team and Matt Stafford. I'm also scared to death if they get 3 injuries, they're done. They're such a top-heavy team like we've talked about in the past. But, yeah, I think the Browns, the vibe, what I see on film, how it ended last year, the improvements to the roster, I think they're going to jump onto the scene this year and be a big-time player, as you could tell.
I'm glad you gave some love to Matt Stafford, because Michael hates Stafford. So thank you for showing Matt Stafford. Underrated quarterback.
I do not hate Stafford. I don't hate him. Of course, exaggeration again. But I'll tell you this, Chris. One of us does agree with you on the Buccaneers not repeating as Super Bowl champions. Let's spend a little more time there. Besides, it being difficult to repeat.
Right.
What is it? What do you see in other teams that maybe, or are other teams able to take advantage of Tampa's weaknesses? You see it that way, or is it just that you think they were fortunate to kind of navigate the road they did last year?
They're awesome. There's not a weakness to their roster. I don't look at any one thing and go, oh, man, that could be an issue for them all year long. One thing I'm going to say tonight on the pregame show here on NBC before the game is the only thing I get, the only way they lose tonight, is if Todd Bowles tries to play defense the way he did in the first half of the Kansas City game in the regular season. Blitz too much, leave guys on an island, Amari Cooper one-on-one, CeeDee Lamb one-on-one, bomb show. That, to me, is maybe the only weakness. Can Todd Bowles just fight his urge to be over-aggressive, which is his history? And we saw him do it in the Super Bowl. He fought that urge, and it got him a ring. So I would think he can do it again, especially with this defense. But I don't see much weaknesses. But the things I do see is the Rams with Stafford better. I think the 49ers are arguably right there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as far as how the team's built, the roster. I don't see a lot of weak spots there either. You could argue they have the best offensive line in football. And then you got Debo Samuel, Ayuk, George Kittle, Mostert, Shanahan's a genius on the offensive side of the ball. Their front seven's as good as anybody in the game. So they're another team, too, that I think will play a factor in this. But, yeah, I think all in all, it's just so hard to repeat, especially right now in the salary cap era with free agency and everything. The teams are so equal. You know, I trust me, guys, I was with you to where I was close to going Bucs-Chiefs, once again. I do think the Chiefs are better as well. But I just think there's some other teams in each conference that are going to be a little tougher this year for them to just swipe under the rug. And here, wait, one more thing. I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm hot, and you just got to hear me, okay? The Bucs are really damn good. We know that. But, let's also not forget they were down 20-10 in the divisional round, and the Saints were driving. And they almost blew an 18-point lead, in the NFC Championship game. And there was other hiccups during the year. So they're really good. When people start going, oh, they're going to go 17-0, maybe they'll go 20, I go, come on, let's relax a little bit. They're really good. I don't see that happening, though.
Listen, I feel you. Kyrie Irving got hurt. James Harden was on one leg, and Kevin Durant's shoe size too big. No. Trust me, dog. I hear you. I hear you. But no, I got one more thing on this game, and then before we let you go, I do want to hit Sunday night with you as well. This is the last time I'll talk to you this week. What are you looking to see from Dak Prescott? Probably, besides the Bucs hanging their banner and defending their championship, probably the second biggest story is America's team's quarterback's comeback. What are you looking to see specifically from Dak, his first game back from him?
How good can he be? It's really a rare situation. First off, I think you guys know I'm a big Dak Prescott fan. When he's healthy, hands down one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football, probably top 6, 7, 8, right in that area. He is special. And what, to me, makes him special, and I'm going to do this again on the pregame show tonight, too, so tune in and watch. I'll show you some plays. He is one of the best in the sport at throwing with the trash around him. And what I mean by that, the pocket collapsing, people grabbing at him, I got to move a little bit, and he's fearless, and he keeps his eyes downfield and still throws 30 and 40-yard strikes. That's his game. But he hasn't played in 10 months. He didn't even play preseason football. Damn, he didn't even practice that much. And now he's got to be like, hey, carry the squad against the best team in football with that front. That's where how capable is he to do that tonight? And I don't think he's going to be as capable as what he will be in week 5 or 6 when he's finally healthy and feeling confident. But I don't expect their run game to be able to jump off tonight. Not against this Bucs defense. Nobody could run against them last year. So it's a lot on Dak Prescott's shoulders right off the bat, and I just want him to be careful. If he's in the scrum and Ndamukong Suh's touching him or grabbing his jersey, go down. Don't be a hero. Tonight's not the night. It's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
I got one more for you, then Mike's got one, then we'll let you get out and get in the AC.
Yeah, cool.
Fast forward into Sunday night's game. You've already showed Stafford love. That's great. Andy Dalton's getting no love as the placeholder for Justin Fields. And he talked today about the worst thing you can do is looking over your shoulder. I wonder if you could kind of speak to that mentality that somebody who knows he's on the clock, somebody who knows he's a temp, somebody who knows the entire city and fan base doesn't want to see him succeed, doesn't want to see him out there to begin with. Speak to that mentality of not looking over your shoulder and having that laser focus into doing your job, even though your job is just to keep somebody else's seat warm.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. I went through it a little bit in college and the pros. You're sitting there on the field, and when you make a mistake, you already start to think like, wait, are they going to pull me? Oh, no, did I just lose my job because I had a bad series right there? The good thing for Andy Dalton, he's been in a lot of tough situations throughout his career. and he is at the point of his career where he can block that nonsense out. You know, if he was a younger guy, I'd go, oh man, this is an impossible situation. But he is a veteran. He understands the game. He understands it's not all about him. But I'll still go back to what I've been saying from the get-go. It's going to be a short leash. And Justin Fields is the greatest schematical advantage the Bears have on that team. And I just think we're going to see Justin Fields at some point be the starting quarterback for them in week 2, 3, and certainly have a package for him in this first game.
All right, so we already heard your Super Bowl picks and your conference championship game picks. One team I didn't hear mentioned in the NFC is Aaron Rodgers. He the Last Dance Part 2 fame, because that's probably what it's going to be in Green Bay. How does The Last Dance with Aaron Rodgers in?
I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFC, you know, one of the best teams in football, the record. But for me, there's just not enough Jimmys and Joes for them to pull through and get to the Super Bowl, unless it falls the right way and some of these teams get injured. But I don't know. I just look at their roster and go, it's not to the level of the 49ers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, even the top-end talent of the Rams is better than the Packers. There's still too much, to me, in my opinion, on Rodgers and having to make the perfect throw and having to make the perfect read. And don't ever throw an interception, but throw the ball into the tightest windows in football all the time. And that's just unrealistic to think that you can do that once you start to get to these teams deeper in the playoffs who have the best defenses in football. And that's, you know, Rodgers is a victim of his own greatness to a degree. He makes a team 13-3. They're really 11-5. But if they had Aaron Rodgers, they're 13-3, and we think they should win the Super Bowl. So I just look at them that same way. They're going to be there in the end, but I don't know if they got enough steam and talent to really beat some of these better teams in the NFC or the AFC for that matter.
You got all the talent in the world,
All right,
my friend.
Chris.
We look forward to seeing that talent on display this evening. Pre-game show, halftime, post-game show. Long night ahead, long weekend ahead. It's football time, baby. Good
Football,
to see you.
baby.
Regular season form, Chris Sims.